What's going on, everyone? SAT August is quickly approaching, and here's some quick key tips to help you get a 1600 on the SAT August exam. Alright, so for the first tip, this is a tip that I always give. I'm gonna keep giving it because I really want you guys to get 1600, and that is to primarily focus on the SAT math section first. So the SAT August is what, like 2-3 weeks away? What you really want to do is you want to make sure that you are honing in the SAT math section. There's various reasons why. One, the SAT math section is an easier one because, in math, you can get a definitive answer. It's not opinionated, it's not judgment based. It's literally, can you do this equation? Can you plug the numbers into the variables in this equation and get the answer that we want? And there's a ton of tricks for the SAT math section that you guys can use to get these problems correct and answer them quickly, because the SAT math section, as you guys probably have seen the videos where I finish in like 5 minutes, is a section that can be done extremely quickly if you know all the right things to look for, like the tricks and the tips that I talk about all my videos. I talk about my course, link in the description below. You guys need to study the SAT math section so it's like the back of your hand and you know it in and out. It's the section that most students see the most improvement in. When they study math and reading, most students see the most improvement in the SAT math section, like I said, because it's just an easier section to understand, right? Once you start seeing the patterns and the tricks, everything becomes much more simple. Now, I know some people might say this, well, you see, I suck at math. Like I am horrible at math. Now that might be true, you're right, you might be horrible at math, but the thing is, SAT math is a little bit different because there's a correct and quick way to solve each problem so that you not only get the right answer, but you get the answer quickly. And by doing this, you will get a higher accuracy on the SAT math section and you will get a higher score, which as a result will help you get a higher overall SAT score. Like realistically, if you study for the SAT math section, even for like a month, you should be able to get above a 700, like pretty easily if you are doing the correct studying, right? The correct study routine, look at the correct material. And like I said, I talked about that in my course, so be sure to check that out, link in the description below. Now, my second tip, and this is a big tip that I feel like a lot of students really don't think about because it's not like a direct tip, and that is to plan to take the SATs twice, but study for your upcoming SAT as if it's your last. Now, let me repeat that. I want you guys to take the SAT 2 times no matter what. Unless you get a 1600, you better take the SAT exam twice. Even if you get a 1590, I do not care. Take that SAT exam one more time. It's not a big deal. You can sit down for a 3-hour exam. I'm sure you probably play video games for 3 hours. Like, just suck it up, right? And just take that exam, okay? Now, for some people, it's like a financial thing, right? Where maybe they're not able to afford 2 SAT exams because it's like a $90 fee to take an SAT exam if it's not sponsored by your school. What you can do actually is you can ask your school for waivers. And I know my school offered waivers. I even took a waiver where they basically waive the SAT fee and you can take the SAT free, right? So you can take it once or twice, sometimes even 3 times for free. And that's, a very clutch thing that a lot of schools do offer. A lot of students do not know about it though. But if you are eligible for FAFSA or in Maryland it's called MD-CAPS, if you're eligible for any of those like financial aid programs, even a little bit, you can still get a waiver. So I highly recommend pursuing that waiver and getting that waiver so that way you can take the SAT multiple times and you're not held back just taking it once because of your family's financial situation, right? You want to really hone on the SAT because, hey, if you get a high SAT score, you go to good college, get a good career, you're get your family out the mud and all you guys will be rich. So please do not let the SAT cost push you aside from taking it multiple times. Please ask your counselor for a waiver, and if they don't give it, then try to just beg your parents for those $90. Try to like maybe find a way to get $90 somehow, because I really want you all to sit down and take the SAT twice because it's very, very, very beneficial, especially if there's like a month of gap in between and you actually study after you take the first one, you see your mistakes, see what you messed up on. That way the second time you take it, you can iron out all your mistakes and get all near perfect score, if not a perfect score. And now the third tip, and this is more for the rising seniors, okay? Rising seniors, you have September SAT as well for most early applications, right? So for when you're applying to college, the early application deadline, if I'm correct, is like November 1st, right? For sometimes for certain colleges, it's like October 15th. Main point is you have time, okay? Don't think this August SAT is your last SAT and this is the end all be all. You can always take the September one, right? And the September SAT, you get your scores back by like the end of September, so you can send those scores to colleges for November, because November is the early application deadline. And even if you take a September SAT, you get the scores back in time for your October college application in case you're doing early decision. I know some colleges Like I said, I think Georgia Tech makes you submit before October 20th. So even for those colleges, you get your score back. And now, even for the early application applicants, if you take the October SAT, you are still most likely going to get your scores back before the early application deadline. So you can send those as well. So you have time. All right, if you're a rising senior, this is not the time to panic. I know a lot of seniors at this time start panicking if they're not where they want to be when it comes to the SAT. You have time. You can like relax a bit. It's not that serious. And just wait, take the August SAT, see how you do, then take September SAT, see how you do, and hopefully by then you're clutching up and you're getting the score you want to on the SAT for whatever college you want to go to. And if you're not, it's probably because you haven't checked out my course. It's only 6 hours. You finish it literally within like 2 days. And now my fourth and final tip, and this is a big tip that a lot of students, because of COVID, have forgot. And that's to start taking the SAT seriously. Before, a lot of colleges are SAT optional. They didn't really consider the SAT score as much, because the entire COVID epidemic and everything that was going on for like 2020 and 2021. But now in 2022/2023 application season, colleges are starting to care about the SAT much more, right? It's starting to be back as a staple exam, and a lot of colleges are highly considering it, right? And now it is a factor for a lot of colleges. Even if they say the test optional still, the SAT is still a big thing, right? They want you to take the SAT still, because like COVID, I know it's not over, but it's over. Right, it's practically like done. Colleges are no longer going to give students leeway on not taking the SAT or getting a poor score on the SAT, not submitting the SAT scores. No, it matters now. So I want students to start taking it seriously. It's no longer like, well, if I get a bad SAT score, I'm not going to submit my scores, right? I just won't submit my scores and I will proceed with my application normally. Now that's just not going to cut it. Colleges care about it. In fact, articles have been posted by, I'm pretty sure, like MIT, where they're saying that we now are heavily considering the SAT as a big factor for your application as part of the entire holistic admission process. Because before, MIT was like, we're not going to really consider it as much because of the COVID, and a lot of students can't really take the SAT at a time like this because test centers aren't open and the SAT just can't go online. But now things are starting to change, and I'm sure the SAT will go online. I'm pretty sure 2024, 2025, but that can change as well. So until that, I do want you guys to really care about the SAT for this upcoming application season and this upcoming school year, because it is once again a big factor. So you guys have to make sure you're doing the best you possibly can on the exam and get the best score you possibly can. Now, with that being said, the last and final tip for the August SAT is to practice 2 key SAT reading tricks. And I'm gonna make a video explaining the entire August SAT reading guide in a bit. But 2 quick tricks I want you guys to think about is annotating text, because that will help you draw connections and actually understand what you're reading. And the second tip is to highlight vocabulary words before you start reading the passage. Like when you go read the questions first and you see in line 69, what does the word whatever vociferous mean, right? You want to go to line 69 and highlight that, because that way when you actually read the passage for the first time and you come across that word, you will already have read the context of which that word is in, so you will already be able to understand what that word means, instead of going to the question, then going back to the text, then reading the sentences above and below it and wasting your time, because that's just going to take up time. We don't want that. So these are the 5 key tips for the SAT August exam that I want you all to consider and heavily understand, because that way you guys will be able to get the SAT score that you want. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.